Welcome to SHOWstudio's Fashion Radio, the podcast and video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week, I'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Fat Tony, and my guest today is an actor and an art lover. While you might know his face from starring in the BBC's Being Human and HBO's Looking, you'll know his voice as the co-host of the Talk Art podcast. With over 200 episodes, he's interviewed today's top talents from Emmy Award winner Dan Levy to Oscar award-winning costume designer Sandy Powell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's none other than Russell Tovey. So, Russell, how many years have I known you now?
10? Maybe more?
Maybe more. I think it is more.
Where did we meet?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think it was around fashion.
Always been around fashion.
Yeah, but I think me and you met at... There's a question you gave me, which maybe we'll jump to it now then, because I think it's where we met, which is the question was, there was a catwalk show.
Yeah.
And I got invited when Kim Jones, who's a mutual friend of both of ours, legend, had his first show with Louis Vuitton in Paris, and I got invited to that. And I turned up, and Honey Dijon was spinning.
It was doing the music.
And it was I Zimbra by Talking Heads. And I remember being like, what is this music? Because I'd never really concentrated on Talking Heads. And after that, I went into a whole Talking Heads kind of rabbit hole. And I think around that time, it was this whole different world that was so exciting.
And then there was the party afterwards, which I DJ'd at.
Right. So then I think I must have met you around then.
Okay, cool.
That's my thinking.
Okay.
So we've known each other 10 years-ish. And we maybe more. Maybe that was longer ago, you know?
Yeah, it was longer than that.
God. So...
It was the Cause collection. It was when he did the Cause, the giant... No, it was the one before.
It was the one that was the Masai Mara.
That's right,
check.
Yes. The check, yeah.
Because of where he goes.
Oh, it was Vuitton, not Dior, yes.
Vuitton, yeah.
Vuitton,
so his first show with Vuitton. So it must have been 14 years ago or something
long
crazy.
Time ago.
Because Marc Jacobs was sat there.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, feeling completely out of my depth, but really excited about it.
Do you always feel out of your depth when you go to fashion things? Because you do a lot of fashion now. You never used to. And
I've always sort of done bits. I've done editorial when I get invited
everyone likes to bring
things.
you in, but there's a certain level of celebrity that get invited to fashion shows that necessarily aren't getting paid to go, but because they love fashion. And I see you in that category. I don't see you as paid.
Yeah, I've never been paid. I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
I've never been paid. But I've sort of been dressed for these events, for fashion shows, and you sit there and you wear the clothes, and then afterwards they ask for the bag.
They're not going to want you to turn up as a librarian, are they?
No, that's right. That's true. But I do enjoy them. What I enjoy about them is they literally last about 3 minutes, and you have this whole production that goes into it, like that one in Paris. We all went out to Paris.
Yeah.
There's like Honey Dijon spinning. There's amazing...
Say a bloody name one more time.
I knew you were going to be triggered. I knew you were going to be like,
Honey Dijon. I'm sick of it.
But I'm always like the production in it because it's so theatrical, and all the budget that goes into it and the thoughts that go into it, and obviously
it's the story
clothes.
from the minute you get on the plane,
and then it's gone.
Yeah, totally.
Then it's gone, and it's very Bauhaus. I think fashion shows, yes, they exist online now, but they're happenings. You're
really
there, and then everybody crams in. Everybody's crammed in. Everyone watches it happen, and then they leave. And it's so theatrical, and I love that.
Yeah, it is really theatrical. And you know what it is? It's like a really, really good drug. You know, it's that element of like, okay, wow, high for like 3 minutes.
It hits you. Yeah,
there's almost a silence when you leave because everyone's like, hi, walking out. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, it's
nice
a bit uncomfortable. Comfortable. I feel a bit clumsy afterwards.
Do you ever go backstage?
I have done a few times, but I'm really like, I don't know what it is about me. I'm quite bashful.
Yeah, I am too. Believe it or not.
Are you?
Yeah, going backstage, and I hate all that stuff.
I don't know what it is with theatre, but there's this difference with being in British theatre and American theatres. That if you're on a show on Broadway, if somebody's even remotely famous, they will come backstage after, and they're just welcome, and they go and meet everyone. Yeah. That never happens in the UK. But if it does happen and someone's there backstage, everyone's always a bit like, who the fuck do you think you are? You think we're bothered about meeting you? You probably are. But there's this whole like, that's not what we do. We're all too painfully sort of like uncomfortable with British about it. Yeah. And polite. Whereas in America, they're like, I loved it. You know who I am. I know you know who I am.
When Lily Allen was doing the Pillow Man,
yeah,
and she was really pissed off if they didn't come back and say hello to her. It is that,
but it's not. I go and see people's shows, and I might not tell them I'm in because I don't want to put them off if that's what happens. And then I sort of leave and text, and they'll be like, "Oh, why didn't you come backstage?" And I just feel like I don't know. I just feel a bit I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. I don't. So when you're talking about fashion shows and going backstage, unless someone actively goes, Russell, come here, and like manhandles me back there, I'm more
Donatella really wants to see you.
Exactly. I'm more than likely just be like, that was great. Let's go somewhere else.
Okay, which leads me on to my next question.
Yeah.
Why are you always hanging out of Edward and Phil's arse?
Just his arse, not the rest of him.
I said to Tracy, I'm going to ask him that. To Tracy Emery yesterday.
I love Edward. I met Edward because he came on Talkart and he was brilliant, and we've become friends. And was at his wedding where you were DJing.
Yeah, of course.
Alec has become a friend, and Alec and me do Pilates. There's a group that do Pilates every week and sort of drop in every now and then. And I don't know. I just think he's...
Watch them all drop out now. Vogue's not anywhere. He's left Vogue, and one by one they'll all be dropping off the Pilates list. They'll be like, we're
but Edward isn't there. It's Alex's thing.
I know.
So,
I'm taking the piss.
But
you know what I'm like?
I just think he's...
no, Edward's one of my best friends.
He's very, very generous as a person.
But honest as a person.
Very honest. And he has superstar friends. And he has his friends who aren't superstars but are kind of like friends to him. And he brings... The mix at his parties is so lovely because people are there and they all care about him, and he cares about them, and so you all mix, and I think that's a really good sign.
Right, what do you listen to get you lifted up?
It's probably a controversial thing, and a lot of my friends are always like, fucking hell, again, but I love Rufus Wainwright.
We all love a bit of Rufus.
You do?
Yeah, of course.
So I've found over the years that Rufus is a bit Marmite for certain people. I'm obsessed with his voice. Every single album, I know all the words. From Rufus to Poses to Want One, Want Two going forwards. They make me feel happy. But to some people, his voice grates on them. And I don't have that at all. For me, I find it really uplifting. Would I listen to it before I go out to a party? Possibly. I would. There's something rousing about it, and there's something theatrical about it, I guess I'm drawn to. But I just love his lyrics, and I love the way that he sees the world.
I was introduced to him, like, musically and in person by George, as in Boy George, when I lived with him, because George is another Rufus Wainwright fan and fanatic.
Is he?
Yeah. They work together on loads of stuff.
Well, I heard about Rufus because somebody made me a mixtape when I was in my early 20s that I was hopelessly obsessed with, and Rufus was on there, and it was Poses, and I remember just hearing it for the first time being like, what the fuck is this?
Do you like Anthony and the Johnsons as
Love
well?
Anthony Johnsons.
I knew that.
Oh my God, a non-he now, but Anthony and the Johnsons again.
It's on that same level with Rufus.
100%. Hope There's Someone. When that song first entered my life, I couldn't buy it. I don't know why I couldn't buy it, but HMV, or was it Tower Records, by where the TDK sign used to be, Piccadilly Circus.
It used to be Tower.
Used to be going there, and you could listen to music. You put a headphone on, you'd have 20 seconds of free music.
That's correct, yeah.
And I used to loop, hope there's someone who'll take care of me. And I would just be like, it just transported me. It's like Björk as well. Björk, you know, when that really... Beyond. You know, that thing about throwing fucking spoons over the hills because so she can be who she is every day. It's like that is again music that you feel. You listen to it, but you feel it. It does something else.
There's a real difference.
And I don't know if that's being an emotive person or sensitive, and I guess you're the same, is that you sort of absorb everything, that you want that. You want to be filled with emotion.
What is an influential track from your childhood? What's that one track that changed everything for you?
Well, the first singles I ever bought, I remember being 10 years old and I had cassettes and I was filming a kids' TV show and I had Janet Jackson again.
Which one? Again, yeah.
Again. I had the Crash Test Dummies, Do you know that?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, of course.
And I had Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love.
Wow.
So I had those on rotation. Like, I don't know what it was, but those songs, whenever I hear them now, I'm like 10 years old again, listening to my Walkman.
Were you out when you were 10? Did you know
to myself,
sexuality? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
looking
the Janet
back.
was definitely that bit of it, the screaming over there. You know, especially again.
I think, yeah, again, I think I was drawn to like music that would have been perceived as less kind of mask. I guess, like my first album was ABBA Gold, which I knew all the words to. I fucking loved it. I had ABBA Gold and I had Lionel Richie back to back. And those were my albums that I know every single word. And again, you know. And then when I was like 15 was Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, changed my life. Know every word, every single song. Looking back, gay. You know, a lot of gay boys were drawn to those albums. There's an affinity for those.
Those albums and those artists that you talked about, they're all kind of style icons in their own way. They all had their own idea of fashion. Do you get what I mean? When you look at them like ABBA, I mean, the whole world wanted to dress like ABBA. Yeah. Milo, totally different look. You know, he had that masculine.
It was theatre.
It was theatre.
That song was theatrical.
The video
beyond.
was theatre.
It was just all that. That was what I sort of felt about it. Again, this rousing sort of like emotional journey that song took you on from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
It was like, as a kid, it changed me because it felt like filmic.
What year did you want to get? When did you want to get into theatre? Was you always wanted to be at 10? So, okay. And did you go to theatre school?
I went to drama clubs. So I went to regular school in Essex, and every night of the week, weekends, I'd be going to drama club. And that would be like my safe space. And that's where I discovered who I was. And that's when I started like kissing people and like experimenting.
So basically what you said, you got 3 different tracks there, right?
Yeah. But I guess if I'm going to choose one, it would probably be, out of those 3, probably Janet Jackson again.
Do you listen to it now?
Yeah.
Is it one of those go-to tracks when you come home and you just think, I've had a really rough day, I'm going to put this on? Yeah.
It's one of those ones where I'm driving around or I've got it. Because I think since Spotify and all those things have come in, it's completely changed the way we all know. Like, these questions filled me with anxiety to begin with because you forget what you like because Spotify you put it on a playlist and then you shuffle it. And then I have a shuffle and rotation for like a month. Yeah. Then I'll change it up. And I've still got all my CD collection. So all of my Kate Bush CDs, everything, and I've got like cupboards full of CDs and DVDs. What a freak! But when
Elton, she's got a house full of them.
Yeah, but I just can't.
You don't want to get rid of them because they're memories, right?
Yeah, they're like, I'm a collector anyway, so I'm a hoarder. But I can't get rid of them because they mean so much, and I want them around me.
Well, you know, I said once, like, you know, you'll never be lonely if you have a good record collection, and it's true. Because those memories and those moments are in that collection. All right, what song do you have on repeat? One track.
It would be Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way.
Oh my God, so I love that.
My parents, when they got together, and they're still together, and they got married after like 3 months of dating, which was wild. They listened to Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill, Fleetwood Mac, and Stevie Wonder songs in the key of life in the car when they were dating, driving around. So when I got to a certain age, my mum went, here is your music education. These are the albums that me and your dad fell in love to. So there's a special meaning. And Go Your Own Way, for me, just feels like it just fills me with like ambition. It's an ambitious song. It's fucking angry and it's upsetting. You know, it's about basically a couple breaking up. Go your own way. But there's something about that beat when it first kicks in that just inspires me.
Gives you drive, right?
Completely. And Breakfast at Tiffany's by Supertramp. So I mean, like, amazing taste in music for them to be having that. And
it's like Guardians of the Galaxy's fucking Volume 4 going on. But Russell, here's the play. Here's the what was it called? What are they called? Those tape.
Now 20 something or whatever. Yeah. Right.
Let's talk about the podcast. The other podcast, not this podcast. Talkcast.
Is there another podcast?
Well, I want to know why. Why'd you do it? It's been really successful, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's done well. It started 5 years ago. Me and one of my best mates, Rob Diament, I do it with, and we're both art nerds, and we have a shorthand for art, and it makes us excited. And for many years, I've loved art, but I felt like it's not been very welcoming to someone like me who sounds like me. It's not really facilitated. There's a sort of, especially when it comes to talks about art, I've always felt very shut out. There's been lots of terminology I don't understand, and I feel like nobody's there to guide me through or hold my hand and help me see or help me through it. And that sort of was annoying. So we started this podcast as something like a gossipy chat show where I would review shows. We would talk about like art world gossip we might have heard of, what shows we're going to see. Then we started bringing guests on, and then it just became...
Now it's manifested into what it is now. I think what it does is It takes away those long words. You include everyone. It's one of those things that you can listen to and actually feel, okay, I understand this now, which is fucking remarkable to do. What you've done, what you guys have achieved with it, pisses me off no end. That it's been so good. But what you've achieved with it is that you've opened it up, the art world, for people to understand it.
Well, we just make it fun because the art world is fun. I get a buzz when I go and see an exhibition of an artist I love, and we've made it welcoming. And I think what basically the problem with art is that it hasn't been given to us in the way that books, music, and film have.
Yeah,
when you can critique something, it becomes yours. So me and you can go and watch a film and I'll be like, I hate you, Barbie. And you'll be like, I love Barbie. And we'll have a discussion. I respect your opinion because I think you've seen a lot of films. When it comes to music, I think you know your music and we can have that discussion. Same with books, but with art, it's never given to us. So it becomes other, then it doesn't matter. It becomes this thing that it isn't to do with us. But as soon as you let people in and they can critique it and go, oh, well, I really like this artist's work. I prefer it when they were doing black and white rather than color. Then it becomes yours.
Yeah, I get
it. And you need to have the wherewithal to critique something when it becomes a creativity, when it comes to the arts, for it to belong to you and for you to feel like you are welcome in it.
Well, a lot of people don't really get into art in that sense. That, normal people, until it's on a T-shirt at H&M or there's Keith Haring in Primark. And then
they don't even know
question who Keith Haring is.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like Trojan horses. So I love that when they do that. And actually people about the Keith Haring thing, when he's so commercialized on high street brands, when Keith died, he had, many charities and he had stuff in place that for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Money had to go to these charities. So now they license the image and it gets out everywhere. And that's what he wanted. So people think it's a sellout when he does all this stuff at Uniqlo or H&M. It's not. It's what he wanted. And the money goes back and it says a Keith Haring Foundation. But that you buy this sweater from Uniqlo with Keith Haring on the front, like a radiant baby. Well, that money's going back to a charity for, an AIDS charity, or a children's charity. And what an amazing man to have done that, and it still does it.
But people that think it's a sellout don't understand art.
It's like a Trojan horse in the fact that his work is so political and it's steeped in like governmental restrictions on queer people, on AIDS, on everything. But people are wearing these clothes with this like radiant man on it, and they think, oh, okay, this is funny. Yes, it's funny, but it's also loaded in history and pain and trauma.
Our history,
and
it's
activism,
like people need to know about.
But they wear it on the sweater, not really realizing. And I love that, like thing like David Wojnarowicz, who's another queer artist who died of AIDS. He has like this burning house, and this starts appears on a load of merch. Like Jonathan Anderson did it one season, and people were wearing it because they thought, I like this burning house. It's a cool logo. That was about the fucking implosion of Reagan's government and how they weren't even recognizing that hundreds of thousands of like queer people were dying of AIDS, and it's about the house burning from the inside, and it's burning and nobody taking any notice. And he would paste these stencils up, and now you wear it on like a T-shirt or a lunchbox.
It's everywhere. It's
I love that.
So do I. I think that's what it's about. I think it's about taking art onto that level and giving it to the masses and letting them understand suddenly how and what it's about.
Yeah. But sometimes they don't even know. That's what I like as well. They're walking around with something. I'm like, that is about, you have no idea what you're wearing.
What musician today inspires your style? Who inspires your style?
A contemporary musician now, or?
Well, no, today.
Well, I wanted to dress like Kurt Cobain. I wasn't really into Nirvana, but I love that grunge look. And I feel like that has been timeless, and that grunge look comes cyclical in fashion over and over again. But what he was doing with that cardigan and like the t-shirt, this kind of slightly baseball, slightly skater boy, but grunge. Yeah. When that kicked in, I wanted to do that. Definitely. That sort of laid back, neutral tone, elegance.
Well.
And it's just
ooze sex.
But it looked kind of like accessible, but I'm sure it was incredibly expensive what he was wearing, but he did it in a way that was really, I love that. I mean, what I'm wearing today is like Robbie Williams' late 90s. I think I watched the Robbie Williams doc, and it reminded me how obsessed I was with Robbie Williams. I used to sing his songs at karaoke. I had a key ring. I had like T-shirts with lions on. I used to do that fucking, what's that hair thing where you'd burn your hair to make it go straight. What are they called? What are they called? Like straighteners. There was a brand though that I had, and I used to do that, and my hair would just go smoke with all the like gel on it. But I would do that to have his mohawk.
I used to crimp mine back in the 80s, and the gel used to like smoke.
Stink. It would stink, and it would just be so crispy your hair. But I was obsessed with the way he looked.
But this is very Robbie Williams.
I think this is quite like, I think there was an awards show that he won, and this is the sort of thing that he wore. And I went, that looks fucking great. I like Robbie now. I've never met him, but I would love to meet him. But I think me as a kid growing up seeing him, I had such a crush, and I loved the fact that he was a bit like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I loved what he was doing outside of Take That. And I loved the way he dressed. I was like, there was something about that look. And then like that period as well, All Saints, the Maharishi Snow Pants. Again, it's all like neutral toned, but this sort of, like a real kind of relaxed elegance. That's what I try and epitomise now.
Are you sleeping with J.W. Anderson? And why are you always on the front row at
Loewe. I love, no, I'm not sleeping with Jonathan Anderson. I love what he's done with Loewe.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible.
I did a campaign with them for I Loewe Nature a few years back, which we actually shot in Margate. Again, what he does is he has this real elegant comfort. It's comfortable, but it's elegant, and it fits really well. And there's something about what he's done with his own brand, where he brings in, he did David Wojnarowicz, but then he did like a season of Tom of Finland and Joe Brainard.
I loved all that Tom of Finland stuff.
And so many people might not even know who these artists are, but Jonathan is looking at everything all the time. So then he brings in these elements into his clothes. So people are then learning about artists through fashion, which is just magic.
Well, he's it brings the two together. And the thing about it is he's another master. He's like Vivienne. He's like,
it's like Kim Jones. Kim Jones looks at everything.
I'll tell you, it's each collection's a collection of other collections of other people's stuff. Like,
correct. But how amazing to know that Kim Jones is introducing a Dior audience to Peter Doig, and introducing Dior audience to Amawako Boafo, and introducing,
well,
do you know what I mean? And Daniel Arsham. I'm sure most people know Daniel Arsham, but what they're doing is that they become a conduit through their creativity to discovery, which is what I think what we want to do with Toolcar. But that's why they're the greats. It's because you're getting an education about history.
What was the most important song you heard at a catwalk show?
At Kim's first Louis Vuitton walk in Paris. And it was Talking Heads, and then I fell into Talking Heads rabbit hole, and then I was lucky enough to see American Utopia with Dave Byrne.
Amazing.
On Broadway, which when I was driving it today, I put it on. I was like, this is so fucking good. So good. And I'd never really heard Izimbra before or paid attention to it.
Yeah.
And it just was so sexy and fun and like exciting.
It was but that show.
And it stayed with me. So sexy.
And fun.
Yeah. Was my first proper catwalk and being in Paris, so that's why it stays out a lot. And that song stayed with me, and I can't. When I saw that question, I was like, "Well, that's the one." I can't think of it.
I'm waiting for the Tracy Emin collab with Kim Jones. I think it needs to happen at some point.
But Tracy's someone again who I've known since I was 20. I met her in 21, and I'm such a fan of hers. I adore her work, and I've been friends with all this time. And she's an absolute hero of mine. But we're friends. And it's what I'm saying about Kanye. It is, and it's a real, like, I'm never not in awe, and she shares her work, and she loves when her friends love her work.
Yeah, totally.
Which is really amazing, because I think you feel inclined that if you are friends with someone, that you should be a bit like, oh no, I'm not bothered about your work, I like you, but actually their work is them. It's like Elton,
come on, how much do we love Elton, and what Elton does for this world, and what Elton, Elton's eclectic collection of friends and art and fashion,
bringing people together always. Yeah. When I've hung out with him one-on-one, we've had an amazing conversations for hours, just like chatting about art and everything. But I think he always sees himself as Dwight growing up, and wanting 100%. Friends and wanting a life. And I don't think he's ever lost that.
No.
That's always where he sort of goes back to. So then when you're with him, it's like you're talking to someone that's obviously Elton John, but they're not. They're like, I'm not from a privileged beginning, and I think he's always held on to that.
100%. When you get that rich, you're gonna have your own gallery. like he's got in Windsor.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Fucking mental, isn't it?
I
do you know when we went on the walk around again? I was going,
I was asking you all about Keith Haring then and everything. Yeah, of course. But that's the whole point of having it. That would be the dream, to have a space that you can sort of do shows in and curate and like invite people to like work with you in there on curations and ideas. That would be the dream.
Right. Best music video in terms of fashion.
Let's Go Outside, the music video for that. I remember seeing that and being so like shocked that was on Top of the Pops.
When the urinals
turn around and you're like, this is unbelievable. Now, I don't know what the fashion is. He was wearing a cop outfit, which is kind of Tom of Finland. So for fashion, I don't know, but I think fashion would probably be, you know, All Saints when they were doing things, or for me, Robbie Williams. I mean, there would have been certain things he'd have worn. I mean, when I was really young, and this is again like flashing gay, but when Jason and Kylie had the album for Anything for You, single, is it Anything for You? Is that how it goes?
It's something like that, yeah.
Especially for You.
Especially for You. That's
and then his next single was him, and he had a guitar, and he was like on this porch veranda in the middle of Australia somewhere.
Jeans, with his dick shoved down one side.
I don't remember the dick, but I just remember I actually drew a picture of him playing guitar.
And have you met Jason?
No.
Oh, what do you mean you've not met Jason? He's one of the most sweetest people on the planet.
No, I've not met him.
Oh my God. And I think when you put this stuff out into the world, you're going to bump into him now somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like Robbie, you're meeting within the next 2 weeks.
I'd really like to meet Robbie. I think he really had a massive influence on me growing up.
And he'd love to hear it. Okay, so the next question was describe what you're wearing, but we've already done that. We've already described it. You're kind of like Robbie.
I got this suit in Berlin at the start of the year. I went out on the 2nd of January with Rob to see an artist called Rebecca Warren. She had a show there, and big. She's again an artist I absolutely love, and who's become a friend. And this is in a store called Andreas Mercedes, which is this really kind of it's a bit Dover Street-y, a bit like Young Designers. And this was there, and I was like, it was the last one on the rack. Trousers, like a shacket suit.
Yeah.
And I tried it on, and I went, it fucking fits. I'm getting this. It's amazing.
I love that when you goes out and suddenly it fits you.
And it looks
great.
For
me. It's mine.
Exactly. It's meant to be mine.
Hello. I was meant to walk in here today and get the last one.
Correct.
Please do not make any more. If you do, just let me know.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, what did you listen to getting ready this morning?
Well, Magic FM. Now, I have radio on because...
A man after my own heart.
Magic FM I put on for Rocky, my dog, whenever I go out. He loves Magic FM. It used to be BBC World Service, but now I feel like it's a bit heavy at the minute politically. I don't want to depress him. So we have Magic FM. I think having a radio on at home, just when you're pottering around, is heaven. It just, you're right, it just fills the space. It's like when they tested out classical music at train stations, didn't they, to stop the rage, and it worked.
Yeah, it really worked, and they got rid of it straight away because they want the rage.
They want the train rage.
They want us all.
They want the drama. They do want the drama.
It's like, let's fill everyone with fear at 6 o'clock in the morning. All right, okay. Who would you like to work with the most? Because it says here, one of the questions is, if you could write a song with any musician, who would you like to work out with as an artist? That you like. Can be living or dead, it can be in the past as well.
I'd like to work with Andrew Haig again. Andrew Haig's just released the film All of Us Strangers with Paul Mescal, and Andrew's got an amazing movie, and we did Looking together. So I'd love Looking to come back, but I just love what he does and the way he is on set and the stories he's telling and what he sets up. I'd love to work with Andrew Haig again. I'd love to work with Ira Sachs. He's just directed a movie called Passages, but Ira Sachs made this 7-minute film that's available on Vimeo, and it's called Last Address. And it's when it starts, it's just street shots of different buildings. I'm not going to spoil it, but find it. And when you realise what it is, it's fucking incredible. And then as a filmmaker, movie maker, he's amazing. I'd love to work with him. I'd love to work with Yorgos Lanthimos, who did The Favourite and Poor Things. I think his vision's fucking amazing. But then there's so many young directors now, like Molly May Walker, who did How to Have Sex.
Incredible.
Their image is amazing. Charlotte Reagan did Scrapper. They're amazing. Sam H. Freeman, who did, have you seen Femme? It's in the movie Femme.
Yeah, I have seen it.
George Mackay and Nathan Stewart Jarrett. Fucking great. So I feel like there's been this real celebration of the indie independent movie directors that are really happening now. That's really, really exciting. And I think that's on the back of Charlotte Wells doing After Sun with Paul Mescal. I think what Paul Mescal is doing is an anomaly. But I think what he's really doing is creating a space for other people who, you know, obviously he's attractive, but I find Paul Mescal to be very normal. You know what I mean? He's not like got movie star good looks. I don't think anyone would have said that guy's going to be the biggest thing in Hollywood. But I feel like through him, there's this sort of like look that's being created and a sort of energy that's being created. Yes, he's obviously doing Gladiator, the movie right now, but then he would go and do a really interesting independent film like All of Us Strangers or like After Sun before. And I'm really inspired by that generation doing that. And I think it's opened the gateway for Hollywood to really appreciate independent, you know, emerging directors and creatives.
What song would you have at your funeral?
Well, I know I'm a big Alexander McQueen fan, Lee McQueen. Yeah. And I know that I wasn't at his funeral. I didn't know him. Again, someone I would love to have known. I met him once at Low Profile. Yeah. And I remember I went up to him, I went, "You look like Alexander McQueen." He went, "I am Alexander McQueen." And I remember being like, "Oh my God." And we had a chat for about, I can't remember what we talked about. I think we talked about theatre. And he went, "I fucking hate the theatre." I was like, okay. So I didn't know what else to talk about. But I met him. I would love to play him.
You'd be brilliant.
I'd love to fucking play
it. You got that head for it. Your head's the same shape.
Yeah, I got the same shape head as Lee McQueen. No, well, I've been doing a bit with Sarah Band.
That story's definitely coming.
Yeah. I think they're doing a movie. Yeah. And I'd love to do something on him. But I've been like with Trino at Sarah Band. Yeah. We've become like friends and hung out, and she sort of said it, and Sam Taylor Wood said it at some dinner the other day. But like look, similar to Sam Taylor Johnson. You do. Looks similar. So I thought, I love him. But I know that at his funeral, I got told that they played Diana Ross "Remember Me." Yeah. And I'd never really paid attention to that song until I found that out. Incredible. Remember me as the sound of laughter. That's it. Let's talk about American Horror Story briefly. Yeah. You were fucking amazing in that. Thanks, mate. Amazing. I mean, your character in it was just such a hot character to play. Yeah, I mean, he was a cop, but he was of a period as the 80s, early 80s. What Ryan Murphy did is that they pulled in all elements. So first of all, it was an homage to Cruising with Al Pacino. Amazing. And then they're bringing in Angels in America. Then they're bringing in Larry Kramer, bringing in The Normal Heart, all the literature that was about, that was covering AIDS at the time. They brought all of these elements in together, which is just like, I'm fascinated by that period in history. Well, you know, the things that you do around HIV and AIDS, it's really remarkable because you put your head above the parapet with it. And not many people give you that accolade of like saying thank you. Because whenever I've done stuff in the past for AIDS charities and stuff like that, you've always said yes to. And you've always been at forefront of charities and stuff like that. And I think that, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. But no, seriously, thank you. Because it's really important that people do that within their work. Well, I just feel like we have to remember that period in history. We lost so many incredible people, but also I feel that I can be the person I am today because of many people that were lost in that generation. Yeah. David Wojnarowicz, Keith Haring, David Robilliard, you know, so many that changed my life and I didn't even know them, but they changed my life because of the art they left behind. Yeah. And that feels too important to overlook. Yeah. Did you love that about the Madonna show? The AIDS Memorial. I mean, I followed, you know, the AIDS. I love the AIDS Memorial. It's so good on Instagram. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't follow the AIDS Memorial on Instagram, social media, follow them. Every day there's a story and it's never ending. We just can't forget. And I feel like as a community, we should never forget because it's too important. And it was I think we all have as queer people an inherited trauma. I feel I have. And I starting to get out there in the world. I was born in 81, so I was starting to get out there in like mid 90s when people were dying. Yeah. I you know, for me, I when I was diagnosed with it in 2001, I'd already had it for like way over 10 years, probably a lot longer. You know, I lost my boyfriend, Tom. He came back home and said that he was HIV positive, and that was 10 years before. And I lived in Old Compton Street, and you know, we lost him. I buried him in 95. And he'd been like, I mean, everything you could possibly get wrong with you through that virus. He had. And all of our friends, I lost all of my peer group. We all lived in Old Compton Street.
And one by one, everyone disappeared. And, it become the norm. It become the norm. And suddenly, the hatred that went with it and the rejection. You couldn't tell people you were HIV positive. Do you know what I mean? It was easy to tell people you had cancer because people would understand that.
And it's just the way the red tops would purposefully keep people uneducated and also have blatant homophobia. Like Derek Jarman, another huge,
incredible Derek,
fucking hero of mine. And he said, and I say this in everything, and people must be bored of me saying it, but he said in the late 80s, if you wait long enough, the world moves in circles. And that's with everything, fashion.
Of course it is. It's totally true.
But politics, and you look at the rhetoric now,
where we're at,
and what our Prime Minister.
We're back to Thatcherism.
Yeah, exactly. If Section 28 slipped back into education, it would not be no surprise.
Right. By making trans jokes in Parliament.
Well, that's what I'm saying. At PM's question time, they would do that when you've got the relatives of Brina Gay. It's absolutely horrific that this is the world that we're in. And it's also demonizing like the most vulnerable of our community. And it's also enabling teachers to feel scared back to Thatcher's Britain, back to Section 28, where they can't discuss with students about sexuality. It's fucking horrific. And I can't believe, and it's like, that's what Derek Jarman said. It's all moving in a circle. And the way that the red tops can talk about trans people in such a transphobic, openly transphobic, homophobic way is absolutely fucking horrific. So that's why I feel like me talking about these people that died, that mean a lot to me, is my way of being political, of saying, hey, we fucking exist. We always have done. We're still here. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
And as much as you might dislike it, just because you dislike it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because this is fucking life, and these are real lives. And if you don't like it, turn the other way. Yeah. Because it's not going anywhere.
Incredible. But that takes us on to our final question, which is, what track represents how you feel about life right now? You just summed it up. I
I've got Ariana Grande, yes, and on my when I go down the gym, and I've got that. I absolutely love that. I think it's fucking. She's so gay. Yeah, I love that. It's so fucking good. I love Ariana Grande. I mean, that's my gym go-to. And Miley Cyrus, winning that Grammy and changing the words, and for Flowers, and being there with their new partner and seeming happier than ever, and seeing like Tracy Chapman up there, Fast Car, right? Again, cyclical. Look at everything moves in circles. 100%. And there you are with Tracy Chapman, and she's number one again. And like Sophie Ellis-Bextor was in the top of the charts because of Saltburn, because of the scene with Barry Keoghan.
Boy George is on Broadway in fucking Moulin Rouge.
Exactly. If you do something for 10 years, everyone's bored. If you do it for 20 years, you're a genius.
Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for just being you. It's amazing. I love having you in my life. I really do. There's certain people
you'll make me cry.
I just love having in my life, and it's like, because that in my life is enough.